Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Coin a Geek. This is Elliot, your host today. I am extremely excited for this particular episode because I've been teasing it now for what feels like a month, and that has been mostly my fault in terms of trying to schedule things with this particular individual and us having to reschedule them. But I'm incredibly excited for my friend, my British brother in Christ, and the now world famous Instagram comedian, and my buddy and our good friend, Mr. Elivn Mensah. What's up?
Thank you. How's it going, man? Thanks for the introduction and the welcome. Glad to be here.
Yeah, bro. I am super happy to have you here, man. I am looking at my Twitch feed and it's getting jacked up. That's okay. For whatever reason, it's hold on. There we go. We're back. Yeah, man. Thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate it. And so we've been trying to do this now for what, like 4 weeks?
Yeah, back and forth, different circumstances, life happens, whatever. We've been trying to go back and forth. But yeah, finally, we're here, finally.
Yeah, now, in case people weren't smart enough to pick up on it already, you're in a different country. You're in England.
I sound different.
A little bit different. all of us Americans, as you probably know by now, because you've been over here, we all wish we could sound as cool as you. And Americans are so, we just somewhere on the between New York and hillbilly is where most of us lie.
What? The thing is, if you guys were living here, the thing is novelty and a lack of familiarity makes it sound so cool. If you were living here, it would just be like, yeah, whatever.
Everybody talks about it. Yeah, the same way. But so one thing that's interesting about British dialect is that I don't know why I didn't think about this until later in life, but all the different particularities in terms of regions and everything. It's like, okay, well, in America, right, growing up here, it's like you recognize a Southern accent, you recognize a New York accent, and even a bit of a Midwestern, and then there's even things within that. But your particular dialect of British English, I don't know what else to call it. Where does that hail from? Where are you from? What part?
So London, I'm East London originally. That's where I was born, but I'm not. I think there's kind of a spectrum with Londoners, and like you've got received pronunciation, which is like the Queen's English, and then you've got like Cockney, which was like a lot of people in East Londoners, a lot of them have moved after I think it was the Second World War. A lot of them moved to like Essex and stuff, so we don't have as many Cockney people in East London anymore. But I would say most Londoners, they fall in between received pronunciation and Cockney. So like this have a general London accent, basically.
Yeah. So you probably sound like what the newscasters sound like, right?
Yeah, but with less, they sound more polished. I can go into that, but I think I fall more just under them. I'm not as polished as they are. I can, I just talk whatever. So, whatever. They'll probably say whatever.
Oh yes, I see what you're saying. It's a little bit more a little bit more snooty.
A lot more they enunciate words, they elongate things a bit more. So yeah.
It's super interesting. I watched a YouTube video once of somebody going through like I don't know how many there were, 50 accents or something like that, and I found it fascinating. But well, anyway, yeah, man. So I wanted to talk just a little bit. So you and I, we've been Facebook friends for it's got to be at least 5 years now. Is that right?
Yeah, I think maybe is it 5 years? Maybe 4 coming up to probably because I think it was 2017 maybe that we kind of connected.
Okay,
it might have been 2017. Probably through RH. Probably I think it was. Yeah.
Yeah. Now that's one thing I want to mention because I was going to say I think it's from Reform Harmony, right?
Yeah.
So okay, so now I'm going to give you the chance to explain to audiences that may not know, people that may not know what this is. How do you describe RH? What is it?
Reformed Harmony. I guess the name kind of gives it away a little bit, but it is a unofficial Christian dating site for Christian singles. That's the way I would describe it. I think, it's a singles fellowship group, but with benefits that lead to dating oftentimes. So for shorthand, I'll probably just call it a nice place where single people who are Christians and who hold to the Reformed faith, Reformed theology can meet up, talk online, obviously, and find love, I think. So, yeah.
That's awesome. And so how'd you get introduced to that whole thing?
I think initially I was in the Reformed pub, and then I found out about the Reformed Harmony, and then I think I just got let in. I think it might have been Sean. Sean might have introduced me to Reformed pub. He let me in. I think he was an admin in Reformed pub at the time. Sean Cornell. We call Uncle Boots. I think he was the one. He's the one who let me into Reformed pub, and then I think I kind of found out about Reformed Harmony from there, and then think that time Taylor DeSoto was an admin, and I think Sean might have been an admin in there as well. I think he let me into both groups, so I have a lot to be thankful for that experience. And yeah, Sean was the one who kind of brought me into those circles. So yeah,
couple of Arizonians helping you out, which is from where I'm from too, from Arizona. So yeah, you know, out of myself and Taylor and Sean, we all met our brides through RH. So how are you batting so far? I just want to
you know, yeah, well, as you know,
sorry, I had to throw that in there.
No, that's good. Everyone wants to know about my my bachelor status or my relationship status. I mean, I'm like the perpetual bachelor, I think. I mean, listen, when I was in Reformed Harmony, I did try and approach some sisters over there, some lovely Christian girls. Obviously, being over here in the UK, it presented its own challenges. Didn't really get far with anyone, but you know, it was a good experience. I made some friends and whatever, and yeah, I think I'm convinced more and more that potentially I might have my future wife might be over in America. I don't know what it is, man, but I feel like, you know, I want to move there. I want to do stuff there, work wise. I just feel like, and I'm probably gonna have it a lot easier with women just by speaking alone. So I'm gonna have to use that to my advantage. But yeah, nothing's happening on that side of things. I'm still the bachelor, man.
Bachelor till the rapture. That's what they say. Well, yeah, and part of the reason, you know, I bring it up is because the reason I'm having you on here is because, you know, this channel in particular, it focuses a lot on gaming, but in terms of my own personal stuff. But a lot of the reason I started this is because and started doing interviews is wanting to have people that are Christian content creators and people that are in the industry of whatever industry it is, in any kind of arts, whether it's comedy, whether I've had some comic book creators on here, I've had people that have designed their own gaming, but you are a comedian, Christian comedian. Now, I did know a little bit of that when we first met on Reform Harmony, but you've kind of taken this whole, you know, singleness in your life, you know, the Bachelor till the Rapture, I'll keep using that, and made it into something of your own. So for those that are not familiar, and the reason I want to have you on here, I want to show people just a clip of, and you can tell me if this is a good clip or a bad clip, but it's the first thing I found when I searched on YouTube. This is kind of what got you famous, is doing these things called dates on a train, if that's fair to say. So I'm going to pull this up here and let's watch it together. And then I want to have you comment on it later. But dude, and these are like legitimately funny. Like, you're not just Christian funny, Elvin, you're actually funny, which is a big compliment.
I mean, I started off doing Christian jokes, but I ended up just becoming more like broad in my humor. So yeah.
Well, let's watch this little clip. This is only about 2.5 minutes, but so just for context, this is totally, they have no idea what's going on, right? This was not staged, correct?
Yeah, it wasn't staged. I didn't know the girls, although the guys sitting there, I think they knew me from another video. I didn't know them, but they knew of me, I think. But yeah, everything there is just with random strangers on the train, essentially.
Perfect. Yeah. So let's roll it. Looking rather dapper.
Thank you. Yeah, I think when you're going to approach someone in public who doesn't know you, at least dress well. That at least puts them a little bit at ease.
That's right. But she's trying hard to be polite.
Yeah, not look, you know, but she likes the fact that this guy's set up. She's intrigued, but trying not to show too much, you know.
Right.
Sort of. Yeah. And she actually took the drink at the end.
Did she really?
Did she take the drink? Or she did. She either took the drink or she did the cheers. I can't remember. It was one of the two.
So we'll find out. So she's just casually, and you pulling up on here. There, you have all your little bag of goodies.
Yeah, a bit of a Mary Poppins kind of thing. Yeah.
So you keep going with it, and let's see. I want to get to the end because I love seeing whether or not they do take the drink or not.
I don't know if in this take I showed the full cut of this one, because actually off camera, so after we had finished rolling, I think we just had like some outtakes. I think she did take it after that, but I don't know if this was captured.
Okay.
In this particular video, but there's other ones where they take it definitely. So.
And your ability to keep a straight face I think that, I mean, a lot of people ask, you know, on Instagram in particular, like, how do you do this? You know,
Yeah,
uh,
I just enter into a character. I think initially when I started doing it, I was just doing it as myself, but then I realized I actually created a character, you know, that doesn't speak, is quite silent and deadpan in the way he does things, and that added to the humor because I'm just making it look like it's a normal thing, you know. It's not, it's no big deal.
I just, I mean, okay. she still, she still hasn't made, okay, now she's recording you. That's great. That's just one of many clips that that you can find. Now this one was on YouTube, but oops, let me get back there. But you have a lot of them on Instagram, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And
I do.
so we were talking over it a little bit there. Tell me a little bit about what inspired this idea, and then I'm gonna ask you some other questions about that.
Yeah, obviously, I'd started doing like public sort of pranks and some public sketches on the train, and yeah, I just wanted to try some new thing because obviously I'd done like some Christian comedy in the past, and you know, playing different characters and doing, you know, normal sketches, you know, in your room and stuff, playing multiple characters. I wanted to try something different, and I thought with these pranks it'll be quite explosive. I'd seen someone take rice on the train like a while before me, and I just thought, you know what, that's interesting, the way the public were interacting and the humor of it all, the kind
Right.
of doing these things in the wrong context, and
Sure.
the humor that generated. I felt like that was a good recipe for making like comedy. So I just thought, you know what, let me kind of, you know, I'm inspired by that. I thought, let me start doing some of these public pranks. They have the
Hmm.
potential to actually, you know, be quite explosive. And I did want to try and grow my page, and I thought pranks were a good way, or public stunts were a good way to help with that. So I started doing, you know, some of this stuff, falling asleep on people in public, and
Yep.
then I went on to doing some stuff on the train, taking food on the train, pots of food on the train, and then
Yeah.
I started. I took a treadmill. I made some tea on the train. It was just basically living my life on the train. And then the date idea came when I saw two women sharing a drink on the train. You know, I can't remember. I think they had some wine glasses. I think they were just sharing a drink. They may have been friends or whatever. And
Yeah.
then that kind of just clicked off. I was actually coming from doing a video that day where I washed my clothes on the train as well. So when I saw them, I thought, you know what, a date would be a good idea. Initially, I wanted to do it with someone that I knew. I wanted to do a planned date with a girl that I knew, but then I thought, you know what? After speaking with someone, I thought better to do it unplanned. I think the potential for shock and humor will be heightened by doing it with someone I didn't know. So that's what
Yeah.
I did, and obviously I didn't really. I mean, I knew it was going to be a good video. I just didn't expect it to take off the way it was going to take off. I was just thinking of just doing the video and just moving on to my next thing. But it really kind of rocked the internet, man, and people loved it. So yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of those other videos that you alluded to, I've seen as well. And I originally thought those are honestly hysterical. Now here in Arizona, we don't really have, we have the light rail, but we don't have, you know, like, what do you call it, the L train there.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't really have that kind of public transportation here. Now I have ridden public transportation in Chicago when I lived there for a little while, and what always strikes me is just, and you can tell me if there's other stories that you didn't capture, but how just polite everybody is, because I
Mm.
feel like that would be a totally different situation here. If somebody did that, you'd have people coming up on you like, what are you doing, you know, like, leave this person. I don't know what's have you ever run into a situation where it got really uncomfortable and you couldn't post it? And
Not really. Obviously, some of the dates, some of the girls, they don't like being on camera and whatever. I mean, if you notice that, you just try and don't carry on filming.
sure.
I've posted a few bloopers. Obviously, I don't always get it right. Most of the time, I do, but there are times where the girls, they're not really wanting to be in shot, or yeah, they're not interested. And sometimes you just gotta be able to read that. Some of them don't always make it clear because they sit there, and but like with that girl, she kind of was pretending like she wasn't interested in being in the video, but then she was still being there. And by the end of the video, she was filming me. So that was a bit weird. But with some of them, they make it clear, maybe through getting up, or or maybe just even in their body language, or just being on their phones, that they're not really interested. And I think with those ones, you have to, that this is not something worth posting or whatever. So yeah, I've had a few experiences like that, but nothing crazy though. I've not had any
Yeah.
people trying to get into fist fights or anything like that. Because what I'm doing for the most part, although it is meant to be funny, it's not meant to be harmful in any way.
Sure.
So
Sure.
as far as I can tell, it's not. I'm not trying to do anything obviously harmful. So
Yeah.
if people don't want it because of personal preference, then fair enough. But
Sure.
So,
Okay. Well, that's interesting. Yeah. So then when did you know, and I am going to go backwards and kind of talk about how you got into all this, but since we're on this topic, when did you know that you had, broken the internet, so to speak? What was the first video that kind of got you there?
it was a train date back in August 2019, and yeah, it just kind of, how did I know it went viral? I think I started seeing comments from people who don't usually comment on my stuff, who are like a little bit famous. I started seeing like some weird comments, and I also started seeing like really high engagement on my videos, like that I had never seen before, like organically. So this was just coming through like the explore page and stuff on Instagram. And I was seeing people who had like blue check marks commenting on my stuff. I'm like, this doesn't usually happen on my videos. So I started to realize that something's different here. This video is probably made it into the explore page or something. And then I started noticing the views were going crazy. I was getting loads of notifications, and that's kind of when I knew that video had that kind of gone kind of viral over the past few days. And then loads of other pages were reposting it, and I just never expected it to happen. I knew that it would be a good video, but I didn't think it was gonna capture so much attention. I didn't think people were gonna like love it so much, and the fact that so many pages, big news pages and whatever, were interested in posting it, contacting me about it, like it was a bit shocking. I was like, wow, like this is, but that's what happens.
Yeah.
A lot of the time, these things happen when you don't expect it. You're just being consistent, making good stuff, and people just gravitate towards it. So
Yeah. No, it's awesome. Like when I saw that you were interviewed on some show. Now I have no idea about British television at all outside of BBC. So I didn't bring up the clip here, but you were interviewed on what looked like a pretty legit. Was it a news organization? It's a kind of like a.
Yeah, I was on ITV News. They're quite a big broadcaster over here, and I was on BBC as well. Just had an interview with them. That was a lot. BBC News was actually last year. It wasn't that long ago.
Oh wow.
The ITV News one, I did that within a week of going. I think it was within a week or so of going viral. They contacted me.
How did that feel?
Yeah,
surreal.
it was surreal. I was like, wow. It was nice just because, prior to all of that, I was actually trying to get onto these places, some of these places as a journalist. Obviously that didn't really work out, but like, yeah, I went back to some of these places, some of these radio stations contacted me. They wanted to do stuff. They wanted to interview me, and I was just like, yeah, I mean, it was a nice experience, knowing that some of these places that I've been to before, I went there trying to find work experience. I was going back there for interviews, because they had seen my stuff. So yeah, just something, you just got to put your mind to things, and go for what you want, and give it your best shot. And if someone sees it, you never know who's watching. So
yeah,
that was good.
Well, that's awesome. Well, thank you for explaining that. Yeah, I would love to take you back here just a little ways because and just kind of talk about what led up to this. So if you don't mind, I want to ask you some questions about just kind of your growing up, your childhood. Now, we've talked a little bit about it in the intro of this show, and this is a Christian Twitch channel. And that's something that stands out to me a lot, not only because I'm a fellow believer, but because my sort of view on comedy tends to be that, the majority of it seems to be in maybe pretty foul or, that kind of thing. And you can, determine whether or not that's funny or not, but you have taken a different route. And so I want to know a little bit about your upbringing. Like, when did you grow up in a Christian home? Like, talk to me about what that looked like for you and your faith.
Well, I was raised up in a kind of nominal Christian environment. I went to church when I was young and whatever. Fairly good kid for the most part. I had a few troubles in school and whatever, but I wasn't in gangs or getting into loads of violence and drugs and sex and stuff like that. I was actually, my parents shielded me from quite a lot of stuff. I was a religious kid, but I wasn't a Christian up until about 19. So I was involved in church, going to church and stuff. Playing sports. Yeah, like I talked to girls here and there, but I wasn't like reckless with the way I lived my life. I wouldn't say I was a riotous kind of kid. So for the most part, people would have looked at me as, he's a decent kid. He's not perfect. He has his little problems here and there, but he's not like one of those kids who's going in jail and getting himself into all kinds of trouble.
Sure.
For the most part. And, I used to go to church and whatever, but yeah, I didn't become a Christian until I was 19. And because I was raised in the sort of Christian environment, it was a bit difficult for me to tell when I actually was converted, the actual day, because I was always kind of in and around Christians and Christianity. But yeah, I had a clear understanding of the gospel and through talking to a friend in college, in my sixth form college and stuff. And from there, yeah, things just kind of progressed. I grew in my understanding of the Lord. And, my desires changed. Obviously, when you experience the new birth, your desires change, your interests change. But I was still obviously a new believer, and having come from a world, come from the world. Sometimes you just kind of renounce a lot of things. I
Yeah.
just, even the way I dealt with women changed a bit. Some of it was a bit, maybe I went a bit overboard. When you become a Christian, sometimes you kind of throw out the baby with the bathwater, because you
Yeah.
feel like Jesus is asking you to follow him, so it means you have to get rid of everything. And in a
Right.
way, sometimes we initially have to do that. We have to kind of make a decisive break from the world. And
Hmm.
when we do that, sometimes it means that we stop even doing things that are not inherently sinful. So like maybe even like listening to music, secular music, and doing certain things. We just break away from it all because we just want to follow him, and we're willing to give everything away to follow him. But then as time goes on, we realize that actually Jesus is not necessarily asking that I give away everything. But the way I use a lot of these things are still under his control. So
Hmm.
you can still do comedy, you can still enjoy entertainment, you can still um, listen to music. You can still enjoy creation, but Jesus Christ controls the way you and your love for him controls the way you interact with those things.
Yeah.
And that's something that sometimes you just learn as you grow in maturity. You understand Christian liberty a bit more, and all of these things come as you mature in the faith. I think initially when we are coming into the faith, and we've had a life where we've sinned and just done so many things that we're ashamed of, we just want to just get rid of everything, and we throw everything away almost. And then as
Yeah.
time goes on, the Lord shows us through good preaching, good teaching, and our own studying of the word that actually, there's liberty in Christ to enjoy many things in this world
Amen.
in a God honoring way. So I think myself, I wasn't really into comedy. Or I mean, I've always liked a bit of a laugh. I've always been a light-hearted individual.
Yeah.
Like to joke with my friends and stuff like that, and have a good time. But I was never a comedian in that sense. I wasn't really a guy who did stand up or told jokes like that. You know what I'm saying? I was like a bit of a, you might say, a class clown,
Okay.
and the joker of the group, the guy who
Sure.
liked to drop jokes and stuff like that. But I wouldn't have considered myself a comedian, and I didn't even watch comedians. Maybe you might say I watched Mr. Bean and a few like family friendly shows, like funny
Sure.
shows, but I didn't like study comedians. I didn't grow up loving like Eddie Murphy per se, or Chris
Yeah.
Rock, or all these other guys. And certainly when I became a Christian, I definitely thought that to be a comedian meant or was equivalent with being vulgar. And
Mm.
actually that the only way you can be a comedian is if you do stand up as well. So I
Mm.
thought I thought comedians I didn't think comedians could maybe like be funny via like writing, or be
Right.
funny in films, or funny in yeah, just in different ways. I thought the only way you can be a comedian is if you're a stand-up comedian, and
Yeah.
you have to be swearing and talking about sex, drugs, violence, and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But as time went on, again, I became more privy to the fact that comedy is about making people laugh, and you can do that in various ways without actually going down the vulgar or risque route. So yeah.
Yeah. So when did that talk about when it started to shift for you, in the sense of you never saw yourself as a comedian? It sounds like it wasn't something that you were aiming for throughout the most of your youth, was to be a professional comedian.
Yeah, no, I actually wanted to play football, what you guys call soccer, obviously. I
Yeah.
wanted to play professional football when I was younger, much into my 20s. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to play sports. So that didn't work out. And, after that, I think I didn't really have a clear, necessarily plan on what I wanted to do. I just tried a different number of jobs. I did a bit of sales, I did a bit of customer service, a lot of administrative jobs. But I was restless with that stuff because I don't think it was really what I wanted to do. I think I was constantly restless. I just did it because I needed money to get by. And, it's what you do as an adult. You just have to make money and pay bills and all that stuff. But
Sure.
I think after football didn't work out, I don't think I really found my passion. I think it took me a while, up until I was like 26. I
Hmm.
was just doing all kinds of jobs just to get by. And then, I started to think of going into media and doing like journalism, like writing, and talking about sports. So I love sports, and talking about it as like a sort of pundit. I love doing that stuff, commentating on sports. I wanted to go into that kind of thing. And then, obviously during this time, I've been writing jokes on Facebook, telling funny stories, just on my Facebook, and nothing major, sharing a few little parts of my day. And the way I was just delivering these things, it was funny to people that they liked the stories that I told, the punchlines. I was doing these things even before I knew what these things were, the technical jargon for them. I was just writing funny stories, funny punchlines, doing funny little like blogs, and after obviously Reformed Harmony, and I went in there making a few jokes, posting some funny memes, got into memes and all that kind of stuff. And then, I think I just got encouragement, particularly from Americans, American brothers, to just, consider doing comedy, like consider doing stand-up, just go into it. Like, maybe you could be like a version of John Christ, another version of John Christ, all that kind of stuff. People were encouraging me, like, so I just started trying some skits, and then that was it, really. I tried a few Christian skits, I tried a few different skits, and people loved it. Americans have always been my biggest supporters, man. That's another reason why I feel like I want to come to the States, because like that's where I've had my most love, and that's where I found the kind of courage to even start doing these things, because it was Americans who told me, you should give this stuff a go. You're funny, all this stuff. I would never have really had the confidence or even the sort of the presence of mind to try comedy like I'm doing now if I hadn't had the encouragement a few years ago. Maybe like, I think it was about 2016, 2017 when I started trying all that stuff. So
wow. So it's more recent than I thought. I didn't know that.
I would only say, I mean, I've been writing funny posts and stuff probably since about 2015, 2014, but I didn't get into comedy properly probably till about maybe 2016, 2017, I would say.
Wow.
It started off probably with posting memes and then writing some funny posts, and then and then the skit started in 2017. So it's only really been just over 3 years that I've been in this thing. Yeah, it's not been that long. Yeah.
When did you start thinking to yourself? Now you may have answered this in a roundabout way, but a specific one to ask: when did you start thinking to yourself that this could be a career in terms of I could pay my bills potentially doing this?
That's a good question. I think I started to realize that I could draw a crowd. I started to realize that, like I'm good at entertaining people, and people just gravitate towards me without me having to try too hard. Like I can just, do funny things, and people enjoy it. And I noticed that obviously when I was in Reformed Harmony, but also when I started getting a lot of Facebook friends, and I'll just post stuff and I'll just get people commenting and enjoying my stuff. And someone actually, a friend of mine over here, he pointed out to me, you're basically a public figure. That's what he said to me. I never saw myself that way. I just thought I'm just having fun, making people laugh, and just being myself. I wasn't looking at these things in a you might say career or commercial sort of way. I was just posting things and just giving people a good time. And he's like, you're a public figure, the amount of attention your stuff gets, all this stuff. So he pointed it out to me, and he even tried to make a Facebook page for me and all of that stuff. And I think from there, that's when I started to think, you know what, like this amount of traction that I get on my stuff, and the fact that I'm able to do this consistently, maybe I need to consider making this a career. And then I started thinking, you know what, maybe I need to go to Instagram, because I found it hard to see how I could monetize what I was doing on Facebook. So I thought, let me try and go to Instagram and try and monetize there, because or at least try and do more video-based stuff. I feel like at the time Instagram was a better place for me to do what I was doing. So that's where I went there, and then that was it. I was experimenting on a few things. It took me about maybe just over a year to get how Instagram worked and try to like find a niche for myself there. It wasn't instant. I had to play about with the platform a bit, try a variety of different posts. I took down some stuff, posted memes. I tried a variety of things, and then I had to just clean up my page and stick to one thing for a while, which was the pranks. And then, so I'll probably say maybe 2017, 2018, that's when I started to realize that, you know what, maybe I could make a career out of this. I don't think I had all the clarity, but I could see how I could make money potentially online. So that's kind of when it started.
Have you been able to just do this full time now?
You know what? I should have been able to do it by now, but it's been hard. Obviously, we had COVID last year. My career, I was hoping would have taken off a lot more by now, but it's just been about a lot of stuttering, just stopping and starting. A lot of people have encouraged me along the way. People who I met, a lady last year at the train station, and she was like, "Don't give up, don't stop." She was encouraging me. She loved my stuff, and she said her daughter was a fan as well. I just like, wow, like. People are watching my stuff, and it really just lifted me, because like last year was a tough year for pretty much the whole world, and just having to go through that was hard for me, because I expected a lot more because 2019 was a great year as far as getting exposure and building my page. So I was hoping 2020 would really take off. And so, yeah, things didn't go as expected. The Lord knows. But yeah, I'm not able to do it full time yet. I'm still having to kind of like keep my eye on sort of part-time little jobs here and there just to keep myself going. But the plan is to really, do it full time. I want to try and go into more traditional media. So more as an actor. I think I want to try and get a job as a, doing like funny TV shows and potentially films. I know I'm gonna have a mountain to climb. I know I've got, especially at my age as well, because I'm 30 now. I'm not like 20. I'm getting older, so I think I've got a mountain to climb. But nothing's impossible.
Not at all.
You can definitely. I mean, I never thought I'd get to this place so quick.
Yeah.
So who knows? But I'm gonna give it a go, because I would rather, as someone said, I would rather fail at something that I love than succeed at something that I don't enjoy, I hate. So I'm gonna give it a go, and let's see what happens, man. Let's see.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I love it. I want to ask you kind of a maybe, hopefully it's a deeper question, but as a Christian now, I'll just give you my perspective. I growing up in a Christian home, because I did as well. There seemed to be sort of a few different categories of how Christians approach media, and I know there are more than this, but sort of there's two blocks that I sort of see it in. There's just we're going to be wholesome and clean, whether it's movies, music, whatever it is, right? And we're not going to cuss, right? That's what we mean by Christian, is that we're not going to cuss, we're not going to do anything over the line in that way. And then you have something that is a bit more I don't know if this is the right word to say, but a bit more maybe preachy, or in the sense of like having an underlying message where it's very clear that at some point they're weaving in like a very gospel centered message, right? And it's not just like you would have a hard time walking away from it and being like, well, that's clearly like that's made for Christians, that's made to show your friends that you want to save. What's your philosophy on, as a Christian, as somebody who isn't just as you said, a nominal Christian, as a casual Christian, somebody who holds deeply to your faith, what is your approach to your career and your craft and your philosophy, not only for yourself, but maybe how you would encourage other Christians to pursue?
That's a very, very good question. I would like to reference someone called Francis Schaeffer. I don't know how many Schaeffers. Actually, there's how many Schaeffers are there? There's a few Schaeffers.
There's a few Schaeffers, yeah.
But one of them talks about, I think, art. He has a book on art, and I haven't read the book, but a friend of mine quoted, I think, a section of it. But how Christians, there's two types of art. There's art that you might say, as you mentioned, is explicitly kind of gospel-centered, gospel-centric, almost a Christian kind of art, that has an underlying message, and it's just Christian. You can unmistakably know that this is for Christians. And then there's art that isn't necessarily explicitly Christian, but your Christian worldview kind of informs the way you do the art and stuff. I think I'm more probably leaning, in the way I do my stuff these days anyway, I lean more towards that type of philosophy, where that actually God owns the arts, and it essentially gave us the mind to make it. And I don't know if it's necessarily my responsibility every time I do art to necessarily get a gospel message across. I think what I need to do, though, is make sure that my art is God honoring, and sort of at least is informed by the fact that I know that God is the author of all good things. So I should do things in a way that honors him. And I think, that's how I approach my art. I approach it with a kind of Christian worldview, but not necessarily trying to present a Christian message. That's how I approach it these days. I think if I want to get a Christian message across, I'll just do that maybe in talking to people about the Lord, or do that in another place and time. But with my art itself, I think I'm a bit more relaxed as far as what the end goal is. I think for me, I just want to entertain and use my gifts to entertain people, inspire people, to bring hope to people, and to lift people, to bring light in the dark world, but without necessarily saying that actually at the end of all of this, you need to repent and believe the gospel.
Sure. Yeah. It's not like when you're on the dates on the train and you pull up the little tray underneath the little egg. There's a tract under there.
I'm not too fussed about with that, because I know that the Lord doesn't necessarily command me to do that. I know God is not concerned that I do that with my art. I know what He is concerned is that I do my art honestly. I do it in a way that is wholesome, in a way that is pure, and a way that reflects that actually, God is informing the way I do these things. So yeah, that's why I wouldn't swear, I wouldn't do certain things. I realize that God would want me to be wholesome in my speech and all of these type of things. So my Christian worldview informs the way I do the art, but I don't necessarily have a Christian message that I'm trying to push in any of these skits. The end goal is just to give people a good, humorous, amusing form of entertainment that's clean. Yeah.
Do you think that in comedy, well, let me narrow it down. You think in the realm of Christian comedy, there's a struggle there for comics to do what you just said, to just simply do good art for the sake of the Lord without being tempted to fall into, maybe a stereotype of what Christian art needs to be?
Yeah, I think that might be a problem for some Christian comedians. Like their subject matter, maybe oftentimes they feel like it has to be explicitly Christian. But then again, you find people like John Christ and others who, yeah, they basically they look at, maybe you might say, the flaws or the contradictions that we have within the Christian community, and they ridicule and make jokes out of it. Basically taking the mick out of themselves as well, because they're Christians as well. So yeah, I think there is a struggle there, because I think even trying to make jokes about the faith, sometimes you want to be careful with that. You don't want to kind of throw the Christian faith under the bus in a way. So
Yeah.
I think there's challenges there to know how to make jokes about the faith without almost making a mockery of it.
Sure.
So yeah, I think Christian comedy is hard as well, because what is your end goal? Are you trying to present a Christian message, and also are you trying to make a mockery of the faith? Something so sacred. So I think there is challenges there, definitely.
What do you think? I'm just going to ask this and let you answer. What do you think of the Babylon Bee?
Oh, Babylon B, yeah, I've seen their stuff. I think some of their stuff is funny. Obviously, they're satirical, aren't they?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's not a bad sort of way to do humor. I've not read all their stuff. I don't follow them extensively, but I have seen some of their articles. Some of the articles are quite funny, to be fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they tread a fairly safe line, because I think even within Christian comedy, as I said, you can make jokes about the faith and stuff, or make jokes from a Christian perspective without necessarily, you don't want to mock the faith. I think, because then again, Christians, we already struggle to be taken seriously sometimes. So I think you want to try and be careful with that. But at the same time, there's things to laugh about ourselves within the church. Things that we can laugh about that I think are quite wholesome. So yeah, I think Babylon B does a decent job of that.
Yeah. It's interesting for them, because I didn't know this until recently, but they were strictly satirical to things that pertain to Christians. So it was kind of like making fun of Christianese things, within there, from in a way that I thought wasn't, like, personally didn't think was mocking the faith. But now they've gotten so big, and they transitioned into more political stuff lately. And so now, like, anybody that has any conservative worldview, like even Elon Musk is like retweeting, articles from the Babylon Bee and Gina Carano and like just kind of these names that, they've, and this is like a thing where, like, two of my pastors have been on their show, and it feels like such a weird, like, it's like a small little subculture, but now has gotten this far reach.
Okay,
so
what, Babylon B have a show?
They have a podcast.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
nice.
and they invite, so James White was on, and then Jeff Durbin was on as well.
Yeah.
And they kind of just ask him goofy questions. But one of the funny things they do too, and I'm not like a spokesperson for Babylon B, but they'll read, like, letters where people are upset at them, and then they'll read them back, and some of them are pretty hilarious. But I wanted to transition that into saying, okay, so then what is the end goal in terms of the audience you're trying to reach, and how do you see yourself getting there, I suppose?
I think initially, I was doing comedy for Christians, some time ago, but now it's like I'm open to reaching anybody. Like, I'm not too fussed with, anybody can enjoy my stuff. In terms of age range, I think obviously, like, some of the stuff I do, you'd have to kind of experience some of the jokes I do. You would have to experience a bit of life to get some of the humor. I think. I don't think all my stuff. Some of the pranks I've done, kids can enjoy them, but some of the jokes that you do as well, you need to know a bit about life and lived a bit of life. Maybe if you're like at least maybe 16, 17 plus, you probably be able to get get the jokes better. But I think a lot of the people who follow me, the most people who follow me on Instagram and who enjoy my stuff are like between 25, I think, or 24 and 32 or something. I think that's the biggest age range of people who follow me, and then I think after that it's 18 to 24. So that I think that's probably my target audience, between 18 and like 30, 35, or 18 and 40, maybe somewhere around there. I think that is probably my target audience, and I think those people make up Christians and non-Christians, so
Talk a little bit about some of the challenges that you personally have faced now that you have a platform. I've seen a few posts that you had on Instagram, and you'll probably know which one I'm talking about, but I'm going to butcher the paraphrase of it. But something in relation to the ladies that you're choosing on the train, maybe not being, not African American, Black, right?
Yeah.
Like British African. I don't know if there's, I don't know how you have it.
Basically Black.
Yeah. So we got all these subcategorizations over here, so you posted something pretty strong in the sense of saying, well, this is why you don't see as many Black people. And you had quite a strong response. Talk a little bit about your conviction there, and then also how do you mitigate those things now that you're a public figure? Talk a little bit about that struggle or anything along those lines.
Obviously now that post you referenced, I mean, it's archived now. I left that for a couple of days. And then, I just archived it. One, because I felt, I got my message across, and two, like, I didn't want any more. I felt like I didn't want any more comments. They weren't productive. The comments that were coming through from people, a lot of them weren't productive. So I just felt like there's no point leaving the post up. And let me just go back to just doing my videos. But yeah, I would say, I'd been holding that. My thoughts had been held back for so long. I was a little bit annoyed when I made the post just because for so long, like, I'd been putting up with people making all these comments about, you don't pick Black girls, you don't pick Black girls, you don't pick Black girls. Why are there no Black girls? And I just kept seeing that. I ignored it for a long time. I just felt, whatever. But it got to a point where I just had enough. Like, you guys need to stop this. And a lot of the comments, I feel like they were just driven by toxicity and just not having a right view of race. And I just, as a Christian, I think I need to say something about this potentially, and get rid of, try and let people know that I won't stand for this. I'm not going to accept this kind of stuff on my page. Or this kind of hate towards white people and stuff. Like, guys, stop this. You know what I'm saying? I think it was something I wanted to do because I wanted to take a stand for what I felt was the right thing to say, right thing to do. I don't think the response was okay. I got a decent amount of people supporting what I was saying, but a lot of people also didn't get it, and they wanted to combat and fight and whatever. And people a lot of the time, they read what they want into these posts. I think the post was fair. I don't think I said anything out of turn. At the time, a few weeks earlier, there'd been a massive Black Lives Matter sort of campaign and movement going on. So I don't think it was bad timing, because that had pretty much we were still in the Black Lives Matter kind of whirlwind, but things had cooled down a little bit. The George Floyd situation had cooled down and whatever. So it wasn't a bad time, I think, to post that. And to be honest, I was writing about something that I'd been experiencing for over a year. So this had nothing to do with the George Floyd situation. This was just me saying, guys, we need to stop. I don't like it when I see Black people on my page, kind of almost like talking about white people this way and just constantly being toxic in their view of white people. I kind of intermingled what I was facing, this whole idea about Black women not being as willing to be in my videos and white women being more willing. It wasn't an issue of race; it was just willingness and availability and stuff. And then I kind of intersected my view of a little bit of the issue of kind of how some Black people are responding to this issue of the Black Lives Matter and how they're looking at white people. So I kind of merged it into two things. But I felt it was helpful to bring that kind of balance to the conversation, because all we've been seeing is just, Black Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter. But through some of that kind of discussion, there was a lot of hatred and toxicity towards white people as well. And I felt like some of the hatred and the bitterness that Black people have needed to be addressed, because I've been seeing it. I think I'd been seeing it on my page, because some of the stuff there, he only chooses white girls as well. Some people are saying he only chooses white girls. They weren't even just saying he doesn't pick Black girls. They were saying, he only picks white women. He likes white women. Like, I was having that being told to me as well.
Yeah.
So I feel like some of the things that were driving those comments were kind of like a bitterness and a hatred, and I didn't want to entertain that anymore. So I made a post, and I was happy to just let people know I'm a Christian as well. At the end of it, I just tagged that in there. So yeah, that's what kind of drove the post. Since then, I haven't really had too many comments since. I think maybe that post did its job a little bit.
Yeah.
And I did end up blocking a lot of people that day. I just blocked so many people, man. These days on social media, I just if people are moving too wayward, I just don't have time for it. I just block them. That's kind of how I am these days now. A bit more sort of like ruthless, because I know a lot of people, they don't want to have a civil conversation,
Sure.
And so I don't really waste time. If I see that you're toxic or you just want to argue, I don't really entertain you, because I'm just there to do my post and move on. I don't want to get into all the mess that people like to do online. And a lot of people, they like to pick fights and get into, keyboard worrying and all that kind of stuff.
Sure.
Keyboard wars and all that. So yeah.
Did you feel, or maybe I should ask you, do you feel an obligation to comment on things like that from one side or the other, whether it's for Black Lives Matter issues from those that support that, or maybe on the Christian conservative side against it? Do you feel that pressure at all?
No, not really, because my job as an entertainer with a platform is to entertain people. I'm not like a social commentator or whatever. Like every now and again, I might be able to share my opinions on stuff, but I'm becoming more and more aware that actually social media is not the best place sometimes to have a lot of conversations, because people don't understand nuance. They don't understand being able to have nuance and being able to, if what you're saying does not go with the popular narrative, if you're saying something that maybe slightly contradicts it, or maybe is a different perspective, but it's still compatible with that view. So for example, Black lives, in a sense, we can say that they do matter, like they're important. Black people are made in the image of God. I can agree with that, but also I think that some of the views that the Black Lives Matter movement kind of also pushes are toxic and not maybe helpful, and also anti-Christian as well. So I don't want to join hands with these guys on every single thing. But yeah, I don't feel like it's my duty really to comment on those things. I'm an entertainer, so I think if someone asks me, like in this context, if you ask me, if I go on an interview and someone asks me, I'm happy to share my thoughts and give my opinions in a kind of controlled and civil environment. But on social media, it's a very uncontrolled place, you know what I'm saying? And people will just try and attack you and slaughter you because you said something that was not the popular narrative. So for me, I've become a bit more sort of like discerning with that, trying not to comment too much on these things. And, if I need to just go offline, I'll just go offline and wait for that kind of whirlwind to die down and then go back online and then post whatever I want to post. But I try and just stick to my entertainment. I'm not saying that you, as an entertainer, you can't talk about your kind of political or social political views and whatever, but I just think social media is not the best place for a lot of these things personally. So
and that's a mature and reasonable answer that maybe, as you're saying, not everybody can make those distinctions. Part of the reason I ask is because you do have a very outspoken side, right, that says, well, okay, you're an entertainer, but simply by the fact that you're not only are you an entertainer, but you're a Black entertainer and you have a platform. If you're not speaking on this, then you are doing something wrong. Then there's the opposite side that says, well, no, you're a Christian entertainer. You need to speak against this. And then you have, I don't know how things are over there in England, but the cancel culture narrative is really, it's super strong here. And so that feeds a lot of that. And so that's kind of where I was getting at. It's like, it's good to hear you say you're not going to care and you're going to stand on your principles. But as you start to grow bigger, maybe you start to, I guess, what I'm getting at is that at any point, do you foresee yourself sort of having to bend your principles in order to not get canceled? And how do you spiritually and mentally prepare for something like that?
Yeah, I think the cancellation culture thing is funny. I need to do a sketch on that very, very, very soon. But yeah, cancel culture is something that needs to be cancelled itself. We need to get rid of that, because I think cancel culture is very hypocritical. I think that you're cancelling people, one, for really stupid reasons, but also it's like, have you never done anything wrong in your life? Have you never, taken a misstep or said or done anything that was worthy of being cancelled?
Sure.
And you're cancelling people just because their lives are in the public sphere. If you were in the public sphere, you'd be cancelled as well. And if we're being honest, we've all had things that we've done in our lives that we're not proud of, and if before God, we should be cancelled.
Yeah.
If we were to apply that cancellation, that ruthless cancellation culture to our lives, we will be cancelled as well. So I think we need to have more grace. That's not to say that we condone, terrible behavior from people. People have to be held to account for terrible things that they do, and whatever justice or punishment that is deserved should be meted out to them. But at the same time, I don't think we should just be canceling people. There should be grace. We need to extend grace to people, and the cancellation culture that we're seeing, a lot of it is just toxic. It's not, and it's for petty reasons. It's not for anything that is substantial a lot of the time. We're canceling people because, they posted maybe a tweet about something several years ago. Maybe they've changed their mind about that. Maybe that at that time they were a bit immature. They said some things that were a bit off back then, but they don't hold to that anymore. You're canceling them for associations with something, maybe because it's just weird stuff that I'm seeing cancellation culture for, like, people getting cancelled because I think Robert Downey Jr., they wanted to cancel him because he played a black guy in something called Tropic Thunder. I'm like, why are you trying to cancel him for that?
Right.
Or there was a guy at I think, forgotten his name. He's a comedian, Bill something. He was at I think it was at the Grammys, and he couldn't pronounce some Spanish names. They wanted to cancel him for that. I'm just like, they wanted to cancel you for everything. And when I made that post on Instagram, I was like, if you guys want to cancel me, go ahead and cancel me, because it's like it's hypocritical, first of all, but also it's like I don't find my worth from people canceling or not canceling me. It's, what God thinks of me ultimately is what really matters. And if I know I'm doing right by him, then you can cancel me what you want. It doesn't really matter. You know what I'm saying? I know that to some extent has ramifications. If you get cancelled, it can have ramifications for your career and whatever. But I think, sometimes you have to be willing to take that stand, Right now, I'm not in a position where I'm so big that maybe there's a lot at risk. I didn't really have much to lose when I did that post. I would have probably lost a couple thousand followers or whatever, but that's about it. Like, I don't have big contracts and big movies that I could potentially lose. Obviously, if that time comes and you have to take a stand for the Lord, you take a stand. But I think there's also wisdom in how you address things. You can address things in a very winsome, wise kind of way. And sometimes, I know what they say, if you're silent, you're complicit and all that stuff. Sometimes just the best thing to do is not to speak on stuff because it's not the right place or time.
Sure.
And maybe actually being silent is the wise thing to do. So I think you got to use wisdom as well. I think just because we're believers does not mean we rush into things and just say whatever we want. I think sometimes you have to think about what's the wise thing to do in the situation. And accordingly, sometimes you have to take that stand that will be unpopular and mean that, you will lose stuff. And there's times where actually you just be silent and you don't get yourself into too much heat because it's not necessary. So
definitely. Can I, would you mind if I ask you an audience question?
Oh, sure.
So this is along similar lines, but this comes from our buddy Fly Fox Pro, who is a friend of mine, Daniel. And so he asks here, I'm wondering if outside of these controversial topics being pushed into everything, have you ever felt any pressure from the current climate, political or cultural, to censor yourself in your art?
Not really, because I don't really do a lot of stuff. It's only recently that I've started doing a little bit of topical comedy where I'm, kind of making fun of like things that have gone on in the media with prime ministers and Meghan and Harry recently, the interview that they did. I've been making some jokes about that recently, but in general, I don't really do political or racial jokes. I don't really do that type of stuff. I'm not really in that kind of sphere comedically, so I don't really have to censor myself. There's a lot of stuff I do. There was a period where I was doing a lot of jokes where I wasn't even talking, and I was just doing generic kind of family friendly, funny stuff. So I don't feel the need to censor my stuff generally because I don't really dabble in comedy that has to be censored. So yeah.
Oh, that's a good way to, you're kind of like preemptively cutting out that particular problem,
Yeah.
Well, just to kind of switch over to something, it's more a curiosity question for me than anyone, because there's been a few times where when we've talked, you've referenced the fact that I told you, I said, I think being single is good for your career. And you've mentioned that to me. So one, did you really take that to heart? Is that true? And then two, what's going to happen when you get married eventually?
You know what? I think as time went on, I thought about that comment you made, and it stuck with me, man. I don't know. I mean, you said it as a joke, you said it in jest, I'm sure, but yeah, it's the way life works, like the way my life has gone. I've had so much success being alone, and it's being single and stuff, and it's like, yeah, that comment Elliot made, like, it kind of makes a bit of sense. I know he said it as a joke, but yeah, I mean, this is what is happening. I'm getting ahead in my career unexpectedly, without anybody, without any sort of woman by my side or anything. So it's kind of interesting. Obviously, I don't just do singleness humor or jokes
Sure.
around dating and romance. I mean, I have kind of had a lot of success with that. And yeah, I find making jokes about dating quite easy just because it's so universal.
Right.
It's a subject matter that I find very easy to make jokes about. A lot of people can relate to it. I've got a lot of experience or knowledge about these things, even if it's through sort of observation and seeing what other people have done in their relationships and stuff like that. So yeah, it's easy for me to joke about that stuff. I think I want to be diverse, though. I want to be able to, if you're going to be a good comedian, you need to have a bit of diversity to your humor, be able to joke about different topics in the world. So I'm trying to do that now, trying to diversify. I know people love love as well. They love the topic of love. So obviously it's always going to be a hit. Anytime I do romantic jokes, people are always gonna enjoy them because I mean it resonates with them quite easily.
Yeah.
Sometimes I think people misunderstand my jokes. They think I'm projecting what's going on in my personal life. It's
Mm.
not really that. I'm just kind of just making up hypothetical situations and making jokes out of them a lot of the time. But I think if I get married, like, it won't be a problem. I don't because I'm not. Again, I wouldn't really consider myself a guy who just does singleness jokes. I think I do a variety of things, and obviously, if you get married, you can start doing marriage humor. But I think we'll be fine. I think marriage
Yeah.
is not going to. If I get with the right type of person, I think they should encourage and support what I'm doing, and I think, yeah, it might give me more ammunition to do more stuff. Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, I can't wait for that day.
We'll see when it is. I mean, people, I don't know. Everyone's been waiting for that day for a while, but it's like a movie that is still waiting. We're still waiting to release it. We don't know when it's gonna be released. We'll see, eh?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Do you have time for just a couple more?
Oh yeah, we
Okay.
can stay. Yeah.
All right, awesome, man. I wanted to have you tell us a little bit. We spoke before I started broadcasting. You had some plans to want to move overseas here to the United States. Talk a little bit about that and just your future in general, and what you're planning on doing both in your personal and your career.
Man, I love America, man. I don't know why I love America so much. I came there for the first time in 2017, and I mean, yeah, it was a nice holiday and stuff. But I just don't know why I loved it so much. I met a lot of Christian friends over there through Reformed Harmony and just Facebook in general. And yeah, I took a love to the country. Like, it's very weird that you go to a place and you just want to move there. I don't know why. I told a friend at the time that I thought I would never move because I'm very committed to my local church and I don't
Mm,
really see myself moving, although I love America. But as time has gone on, I felt like, my career, if I'm going to try and reach the heights I want to reach, and if I want to get more opportunities, that America is probably a better environment to give myself, the best chance to really progress what I want to do. And
sure.
yeah, so yeah, it's something I want to do, man. I want to
The
move there.
smell of freedom in the air, maybe a little.
Yeah.
Although that's kind of seems to be going away more and more. But
Yeah, I don't
yeah.
know. I think for me, when I just think of the arts, and if all the people who've done well in the arts have gone to America at some point in
Sure.
their careers. I mean, who have made it really big, there's different levels to this, but those who are quite well known, I'm not saying I want to try and get to the mountaintop per se, but I know that if I want to, make more like progress, America's a far better kind of place to go and do that than here.
Yeah.
If you want to be an actor or a comedian, I think there's so many more opportunities, just even by virtue of the fact that America's a bigger country,
Right.
and black entertainers are very well established over there.
Mm,
A lot more than over here.
mm.
So I think, and as a British expat as well, I think I would have an advantage because people just love British people over there.
That's
So
what we're saying,
I think,
man.
yeah, I think that would help. And there's been a lot of British actors actually who've come from England, like Idris Elba is one example. People who've
Yeah.
come from England have gone to America and they've done really well. So I know as a Christian, it might be a bit more challenging because there's certain things I might not want to do and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
I think if I'm going by wisdom and I'm thinking logically, it makes a lot of sense. And that's why I want to do it. So the hope for me in the future, God willing, is to get into some comedy sketch shows. If I could get into, maybe the equivalent of The Office, something like that, that would be nice. Maybe I could be the new Stanley. That would be cool. And maybe some films as well. I'm not looking for too much. I want to have a fulfilling career, but a couple of good TV shows that do well, and maybe a couple of movies, I'll be happy with that. If I can get a nice 10-year career, 15-year career out of this, and I do well, I'll be happy with that, man. I know life is never going to always be perfect, so I'm okay with not necessarily having everything out of this career, but I definitely want to make some stuff, make some good movies, make some good TV shows, get a couple of gigs, and see how that goes. Maybe Netflix, HBO, maybe NBC. You never know.
Awesome. And you said you're planning on trying to come over here to visit. Like, you did like a kind of an American tour, right? When last time you came over, I kept seeing pictures. You were going a bunch of different places. What's your next road trip look like over here? Or
that was 2017, 2018. I went to a couple of states. I was just going everywhere, man. I think if I come in 2022, potentially it might be to move. I might come there for work. I might come there to actually if I've got a Netflix gig or a TV show gig, that's the plan. I'll probably be coming to America this time to live. But if I do come, I might take a little trip to a few places first. I think it would be nice to maybe settle in a place like LA. But maybe go to a few states beforehand, and then end up there. That would probably be the plan.
You got to come out here to Arizona.
Oh, absolutely! Arizona's on the way. It's on the way. So to LA. So that would be cool.
Wonderful. All right, this is a simply for fun thing. I just wanted to do this because I don't know. I'm dumb, but I have some questions for you. This is I found this on a website. And it's called 45 Questions Americans Have for British People. Now they do have their own answers here, but I want to hear what you have to say. And this is always the one that is I'm just going to read 2 or 3, but this is one that stuck out to me for a while. Why do British judges still wear powdered wigs?
I don't know. I couldn't tell you. I'm not in that kind of circle, so I don't know, man. I think maybe it's probably as good as asking why do we still have a monarchy. Maybe it's along those lines. Maybe we just love tradition. Maybe that's it. We just love tradition.
Okay.
Tradition. Yeah.
So you really you have no clue about it.
Nah, I have no clue.
Okay, fair enough. So we're on the same page there. Let me see here. All right, here's another one. Why do British people drink tea in literally every situation?
Well, I'm probably not that British thing. I don't like tea that much, but yeah, I think this country is quite cold, so I think maybe that's why they like hot, warm beverages so much.
Okay.
I think it probably is tradition, but also I think we live in a very cold country, so tea is warm and it gets you going. So I think that's why people drink it so much, and they probably like the caffeine as well. So
that's a good point.
Yeah,
that's a good point.
Yeah.
Okay, and here's my last one, and this is really the best question I think I could ask. What's the deal with cricket?
Oh gosh, I hate cricket, man. I do not like cricket. I've not really taken time to. Yeah, I find cricket so.
Are you sure you're British? I don't think you like anything about your country.
Even in my essence, I'm American. I don't have that British kind of. Yeah, I don't drink tea. I don't really know why they wear the wigs. I don't like cricket. I'm American. I don't know. I think I'm American in my soul. But I love basketball. I don't even mind baseball. I think baseball looks cool.
All right.
Yeah, and I like most of the American food. I'm American, man. I think I was, for some reason, I'm living a very contradictory life at the moment. I'm living in the wrong place.
So let's hear it on the spot. I've heard you do it on your skits, but I want to hear your best American accent.
Oh gosh, this is pressure, man. Let me see. Hey y'all. Hey y'all. Sorry. I just want to say it's a real pleasure to be out here, and I love chicken and waffles. Y'all tripping, man. That wasn't my best one. I'm just trying.
You can get through most of life in America just by saying those words, just like that. Hi, y'all. Where's the chicken and waffles?
Hey, y'all. Bless your heart. You kind of cute, man. Y'all eat chicken and waffles over there? Oh, okay, cool. Burritos and all that. Okay.
You got kind of like a southern little thing going on with some of that.
I gravitate towards the southern drawl so easily. I don't know why. It's really weird, but yeah, I gravitate towards the southern kind of accent. Strange.
Yeah. But that sounds better than most people that are trying to do British accents. You know, it's like, oh, how's it going, governor? You know, top of the morning, and like we get the British and the Australian mixed up easy. You know, like,
The
oh,
British and the Australian.
yeah, you know, put another shrimp on the barbie, mate, and we just start throwing in all the crossover stuff.
Actually, I think that from according to my history, I think a lot of Australians migrated from England. That's why they sound a little bit like us over here. Yeah.
Okay, I thought Australia was where they sent all the prisoners back in the day, wasn't it? It used to be like
there is a bit of a connection between Australia and England. A lot of people migrated from England to Australia. That's why I think they sound a bit Cockney-ish, a bit.
Okay.
All that mate stuff. Yeah.
Sure. That's interesting. Okay, I got one more question from my audience. This is not the deepest question, but he wants to know, what football team do you support?
I don't really follow football like that. I used to like watching Man United. I used to support Man United when I was younger, and Arsenal, more because of the players. I like their strikers. But I don't really have a team. I'm a lot more neutral, but I still watch football. But I think I'm a fan of players more than I am teams, you know. But I think it saved me a lot of stress in my life, because supporting a team, it gets too emotional for some people, man. They get too stressed out. I've got enough stress in my life as it is, so I think it's good to just enjoy it as a neutral. Yeah, man.
You guys have some crazy fans over there. Some of those stadiums are just, that's nuts. I saw that horrible thing that happened with what was it? Liverpool with when the people got crushed at the front of the you know what I'm talking about? It was like years ago where it was like a Liverpool game, and it was too packed, and people got pushed towards the front of the fence, and like it was like 83 people died or something like that.
Oh, wow. I don't think I heard about that, you know. That's crazy.
Yeah, I don't know when it happened. I think it was late 90s or something like that. It was some ESPN documentary that I saw.
Right. That's crazy. Yeah, I mean, that probably wouldn't happen today because there's a lot more protocols in place. But
sure.
Yeah, I mean, those fans, they can get really crazy. They get drunk. They're very diehard, man. You know, I think a lot of them must be like livid that they can't go to the stadiums right now because of COVID. So
sure.
Yeah.
Well, I just want to end on this. So if you're looking, if somebody's watching this right now, maybe today or maybe sometime in the future, and you as a Christian comedian somebody's looking to say, what do I do? I love comedy. I'm a Christian. I don't know how to make this happen. What's your encouragement for them? What's sort of some advice that you can give for somebody who might look at doing similar things that you're doing?
I'll say have fun with it. Obviously be willing to try things. I think you gotta give things a go. I would say you don't necessarily have to be explicitly Christian. You can take the approach of just trying to do clean, funny things. You can be funny without being vulgar, but you don't necessarily have to be explicitly Christian in the way you do your stuff. If you want to do Christian comedy, that's cool, but be free to do just generic funny stuff. And just try and know that God is ultimately the giver of humor. He's given that to us as a gift, and we just use it in the right way. I think try different things, experiment. Get feedback from people that you trust and that people that you think will give you honest sort of feedback. Yeah, and also just know that these things take time as well. To sort of refine your craft and get better. I think being funny is something that you can have naturally, but you can also learn to be funny as well. And I think you just have to just practice and try different things and have fun with it, and do things that you find funny as well, because everybody's humor to some extent is subjective. And just do things that you find funny and you enjoy, and put it out there and whatever.
Awesome. And where can people find you? What's the best place to get your content?
Anywhere really, any social media platform, maybe other than Twitter. I think any platform, man. But I would say the most places where I'm active at the moment, I'll probably say Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. And it's just my name, Elivn Mensah. You can find me in any of those platforms pretty much with that name.
Cool. So if they just search for that, then they should be able to find you.
Yeah, pretty much.
Mensah is MENSAH.
SAH. Yeah.
Cool, brother. Well, hey, man, it's been really good talking to you. Thanks for working with me on the scheduling stuff. I know it took a few times to get this going, but man, I'm honestly, dude, from me to you, I'm honestly super excited for everything that you got going on. I find your stuff super entertaining. I'll show my wife every now and then. We'll be sitting down. I'm like, you got to see the stuff Elvin's posting. It cracks me up, and I try to give you as much love and support as I can through.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Through that, and And it's been really cool, man, to see how God's been blessing what you've been doing. And I'm excited about you potentially moving here, and hopefully we'll get to hang out sometime. And then I can say I knew you back when you were on RH. And
that would be cool, man.
Yeah. So wonderful, brother. Well, I'll let you get going. I know it's late there, but God bless, my friend, and maybe we can do this sometime again in the future.
Yeah, God bless you. And if there's any sort of other sessions you might want to be involved in, let me know. I'm happy to help and support, man. Every now and again. So, and you might get your own little blow up with this podcast thing going on. So let's see how it goes for you.
We'll see, Lord willing. All right, brother. Hey, God bless you, man. You have a wonderful rest of your night.
Thank you. You too. Take care.
All right, you too. Take care.
Bye. Bye.